And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
Oh, yes, it is time for another Weighing In podcast. We are the guys that will come at you with all kinds of information on combat sports, MMA, boxing, everything. We had Gervonta Davis against Romero. We had a whole lot of things going on across the seas in Poland with Pudzianowski and the KSW. My man, Josh Thompson, how are you feeling, baby? You looking good.
I'm doing real good, man. I'm in the process of moving out everything finally out of my gym. It will be officially done.
Done,
Washing
son.
the hands of it all. Doing that deal. But look, so I didn't get a chance to watch the Davis fight, so you guys are going to have to wait on my recap. And I think John and I have agreed we're probably going to wait until the midweek show to drop it. So I want to make sure I watch it step by step and get an opportunity to break it all down. So, hey, but otherwise, there's no fights outside of the Davis fight. There's really no fights this weekend. So we're going to do some fan questions. We're going to talk about a lot of things. But before we get into all that, let's go to weighinginpodcast.com. Pick up some of our merch that's available. Coffee mugs, long sleeves, shirts, all different types of colored shirts, short sleeve shirts, sweatshirts.
See, look at you.
Yeah, sweatshirts.
Nice.
I'm getting it.
Sweatshirt.
And hoodies, of course. You cannot have merch without hoodies, man. Hoodies is like the way of life. That's all I rock these days, pretty much. Even in 80-degree weather here in California. A lot of good things going on, but hey, go to weighinginpodcast.com and check out some of our merch. Post a picture of you wearing some of our stuff. I've had a lot of people actually hitting me up lately going, man, I love the Ann Still shirt and the hindsight's 50-50. I had people in the UK tracking me down, trying to get pictures with me at the events when we were over there. So that was pretty cool, man. I had a great time. Other than that, like we got a lot of things
we
to
have
cover.
another shirt to make, though. We do have another shirt to make.
Oh, Jesus. It was the greatest one ever. Was it the one from the last show?
Fuck yes, it was awesome.
That's the best, right?
That's a Joshism if I ever heard one.
That was when I said it. I looked at you guys for a response, but you guys didn't catch on. So I was like, I'll just roll with it.
No,
and then,
he's lying.
Yes, I did. But then I was laughing because then Dave said it. He's like, oh my God, it's the greatest. Go ahead and say it, Dave. What is it?
Josh said, if anyone tells me differently, I'm going to lie to them and tell them the truth.
That's the best. If anyone tells me differently, I'm going to lie to them and tell them the truth. That's the greatest.
I put it on the
It comes so naturally, John. It comes so
Dude,
naturally.
only someone that's been hit in the head that many times can come up with something like that.
It's great. It was great.
Of course, I could always have whoop John's ass. That's exactly what happened in this situation, this scenario. And if anyone asks me differently, I'm going to lie to them and tell them the truth.
It's the greatest thing ever. There's one I also use. It's called you shut your mouth when you're talking to me. And when someone says, I couldn't hear you, I said, well, then listen louder.
I
So
want
it's
to tell you, if there's one, you're always talking about you're kicking my ass and you're winning.
Yeah.
If there's something that you're kicking my ass in, it is these, because you are you are Yogi Berra Jr., dude.
Oh, it's great. It's so good. I'm telling you, man. I'm just come natural.
It's
to
a
me.
talent.
It's a talent.
It's a talent.
Definitely a talent.
Yeah,
it's a talent. We've got to make a shirt too that says it's a talent.
It's a talent.
All right, guys. Well, enough of us. We tore you guys up last week with all the Japan talk, and everyone was blowing us up in the comments talking about, man, the fucking funnies were so story with the Rich Crunkleton showing us the shit, and then James Thompson with his legs hanging off of the off the bed, and then
Matt Hughes making mountains.
Yes, Matt Hughes making the mountains. Just all this stuff, man. So we had some great stories from the Japan stuff and the history of all that, but there's a little bit of a story. Dave, is there something you want to talk about first, or do you want to go right into some news and then we'll go to some fan questions today?
So I have a bunch of topics that came up in the last few days here that we will get into, and then we do have fan questions in the later part of the show. So anything you guys want to cover early, let's get into it.
The reason why, because we just started talking about Japan, and of course, who helped build that whole pride, that era and stuff like that, is Shogun Rua, and Shogun Rua has been apparently called out by Tito Ortiz. Is one of the headlines is that Tito Ortiz would like to fight Shogun Rua. Go ahead, walk us through this, Dave.
Yeah, so Tito says he wants to retire from MMA this year.
Again?
And
he wants to retire one time this year, like he
One more
retired
time
one time
again?
last year, and then one time the year before that.
How many times can you retire? I mean,
in hopes for a Shogun Rua fight.
It's a retirement in different promotions. So he's retiring from one promotion and another promotion, and he wants to retire from another promotion.
This is great.
I like that.
He did say it's never over, so I think that's kind of how he's salvaging this whole retirement thing. As he says, it's never over. I think I made a mistake with UFC when I said I'll never fight for the UFC ever again. Now I think about it, that'd be an amazing last fight for myself and for Shogun. I know Shogun has his last fight with the UFC. We're in kind of the same era, so it'd be nice to see Tito versus Shogun. I like that.
John, you know what's crazy, right? Is that he never really fought any of the guys from the Pride era.
Who?
Tito.
You didn't? Tito, yeah, he did. He fought Vanderlei. He won his light heavyweight title fighting Vanderlei Silva in Japan.
Yeah, that was pre-Pride.
He fought Nogueira, fought Rogerio in the UFC.
But look, all the guys that came over though, like, did he ever fight Quentin Jackson?
No.
I know they were teammates. I know they trained for a while together, but they never fought.
That was supposed to happen in Bellator.
He never fought Dan Henderson.
No.
He never fought Anderson Silva.
No. Yes, he did in boxing.
Oh, no, he didn't fight him, John. He did not fight him, John. Okay. He never fought Shogun.
No, he never fought Shogun. He fought Ken Shamrock 3 times, and Ken did fight in Pride.
Yeah, that's true. So, okay, but you see where I'm going with this? He never fought the guys that were, he fought Vanderlei, but that was
fought Vitor Belfort.
He fought Vitor Belfort. You are right about that.
Yeah. Guy Mesger is another one. Fought him twice.
That was right? Pre-Pride?
You
fight him one time after Pride.
I want to say one time after. Well, not
or
after
right before
Pride,
he went back,
but when Pride was actually was actually going, he fought Guy again.
Guy Metzger was a guy that's so weird to say that. Guy Metzger was a guy. There's a lot of weird things that I say, but to me that's a weird thing to say.
It's a hard one to get through when you say Guy was the guy.
Guy was the guy. So Guy Metzger, he was good. He was talented.
A lot better than people realize.
Yeah, and he's a smart guy too. I think he's a doctor now.
He is a doctor now.
Yes.
He is one of the nicest individuals you will ever be around, talk to. He's let's be honest. I'm just gonna open this up and say it's the truth, and I am not gay. Yeah. But
if you were, I wouldn't care anyways.
Guy Metzger is one of the best looking guys. He's like you. He had all the fucking women.
Thank you.
Going after him. You're welcome.
Thank you.
If you remember when Guy Metzger, I want to say was his first fight in the UFC, he had a ponytail, and he and a guy named Jason Fairborn agreed they wouldn't pull each other's hair because you could pull hair back then.
Yeah.
Right. But he actually he was a good kickboxer. He actually turned into a very well-rounded mixed martial artist. He had a great career. He had some big wins in Pride. Mm-hmm. He had some fights that he went and he fought Sakuraba last second, and they agreed to that they wouldn't go into a third round or something like that. And then he was beating Sakuraba, so the Japanese go, "We're going to go to a third round during the fight," and Shamrock made him walk out. He walked out and took a loss on that fight.
Wow!
And it's like, wow, that's crazy because you were winning that fight. He had some great fights. He's a dynamite fighter, dynamite guy.
That group had certain guys that were good. They just came just slightly short. Trey Tellerman, same thing.
Trey Tellerman was his hands were good. Trey Tellerman was a good stand-up fighter.
Yep.
Mikey Burnett had power, man. He was strong as hell. That dude could freaking swat. There was a lot of, but the biggest problem was they beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Jerry Bolander was a good fighter. Jerry Bolander was a stud.
I think they beat the shit out of each other, but I don't think they did a ton of cardio. The thing is, because they were beasts for the first round and a half. In a 3-round fight, they were savages for the first round and a half, maybe 2 rounds.
Yeah.
But in that third round, they really struggled. I mean, probably their best one was Pete Williams.
No.
I mean, remember, Pete was good, man.
Well, Pete was good
all the
but
way.
I don't think he was their best. he wasn't their best guy.
Well, then you're right. You're right. So, but I would say like the one that had, because he had the big win over Mark Coleman.
Yes.
Then he got subbed by Frank Mir.
Boy,
but there was that whole Lions Den group of guys. I mean, like you had Vernon Tiger White. You had certain they were good. They had a good group of guys.
Yes,
they just always seemed to come up short. And the biggest thing that they lacked.
Look, the guy. Let's be honest. The guy that did more, accomplished more than any of them in that group was Frank
Shamrock,
who actually split. He separated himself from the Lions Den and went to Maurice Smith.
Yep.
And ended up being a cardio monster.
That was from Javier. The cardio monster stuff was from Javier.
Yeah, well,
so
that was the difference in what made him the fighter that he was.
Yeah, it was because, I mean, he was also very slick in terms of on the ground. He didn't have great he was good transitional wise, like armbar triangles,
very good
kimuras.
transitional, but he had no pressure.
No,
none.
No, he was not heavy on top, but I can tell you this though, man, he was one of those guys he was the first guy that I had ever trained with that would talk shit to you while he was fucking you up. He was the very first guy. And it was so distracting. It was one of those things I was like, what the fuck is going on? And he not only that, he was making it look easy, and he'd also give you chokes and he'd give you arm bars and wiggle out and just be like, come on, go ahead. And he'd let you get the arm all the way straight. And then he'd wiggle. He was so sweaty. We called it Mexican sweat because he was so sweaty. And he had like almost no hair on his body.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, and I don't know if he ever wore lotion or anything, but he was one of those guys that like you just could not get a hold of. I mean, I remember having a rear naked choke on him several times. And being deep and under the chin. And he just turned his chin a little bit, wiggled his back this way, and boom, was out. I was like, super frustrating. His kryptonite was always triangles. I mean, I must have caught him several times in triangles, but his kryptonite was triangles because he never could remember which way to rotate. So there was times he got it right, and there's times he got it wrong. Yeah, and he got it the wrong way, and that shit was already in. He was like, whoop. Yeah. So yeah, he was quite the character, man, in the gym. But it was fun when he was in his heyday, Frank. He was involved, like he was really involved in being part of the AKA, like grappling. He had his own little team within the AKA team. It was called like the Frank Shamrock like grappling team, whatever it was. And they were good, man. They were really good. There was a lot of good guys that were in there, and he had just a different style. They had a lot of fun. They would do like competitions during warm-ups, and we with Bob Cook, with Ryan Bowe, with Charles Taylor.
Yep.
Myself, I mean, Kelly Delonte. We had so many guys.
Kelly Delonte was good on the ground. He was
a good fighter. Yeah, he was good. He wasn't bad.
Yeah,
he was pretty strong.
The only thing people remember Kelly from was he fought Matt Serra in the UFC.
Yeah.
He didn't do well in that one. It was just,
yeah.
It was too big a platform at the time for him. He wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, I was supposed to fight. That was my fight.
Really?
That was my fight. Yeah, and I got hurt again. So I think I still hold the record for the longest. I think Sean Shelby will tell you, from the time they signed the fighter to the time he actually fought. I think I hold the record because I got hurt so many times in that initial time frame. Yeah. So, but I mean, just to go back through the Lions Den guys, those guys were animals, man. They were savages. They lacked a little bit in fight IQ as well as in cardio. They just didn't fight smart. And that starts at the top.
That's what I was going to ask you. Where does that start, and where did that come from? That starts
at the top. Oh, they're all be a man, be tough. No. Don't be just tough, man. Be smart about how you fight.
Yeah, that's it.
We got off on a tangent talking about that stuff, but there was a lot of good stories. A lot of good stories through that.
Huge.
Those Lion Dens. Those Lion Dens eras were they were epic, man. The fighters, like you said, Mikey Burnett. I mean,
at one time, you got to admit, look at we've got big teams now, AKA being one, ATT. You got Sanford, Extreme Couture. Mm-hmm. But at one time, the Lions Den was the team.
Yeah.
They were the group. That was the one that people were going towards, and then they were killing them with their tryouts. But that was Ken got a whole lot of ideas from what he was put through with the Japanese and stuff like that. And don't think it was probably the smartest thing, but
well, I had to go through the tryout too when I first came to AKA, right? And they were talking about getting me fights, and I was like, I already have fights. They're like, well, if you want to fight for us, you got to go through the Frank Shamrock tryouts.
yeah.
So I went through that tryouts, and Frank came in because he didn't like me. He came in and told Bob, he's like, he's not going to pass. No matter what he does, he's not going to pass. I did like 200 squats, 200 sit-ups, 200 push-ups, and you don't get to stop.
No.
So you got to stay like in that posted position, but you only have a certain amount of time to finish them all. And so I did 200 squats, 200 push-ups, 200 sit-ups, 200 like leg lift V-up things. And then after they crush you, you got to jump rope, I think like for a certain amount of time, you know, and try not to mess up, and then keep going. And then they have you do like wrestling drills, like sprawl, shot, sprint, sprawl, shot, sprint, like that type of stuff. Jumping knee tucks. And then after you do all of those things, they have you spar.
Yeah.
They have you spar 1 round boxing, 1 round kickboxing, 1 round like wrestling, and then they have you do a full round of MMA at the end. And you're getting a new guy every round, and they're just fresh.
Yeah.
They're just going through it. I was like, I got to the sparring part, and I was just like, I was getting sick. But here's the thing. As soon as you throw up, you lose. You're done. So I was like, all right. So I went in, threw up, came back out. No big deal. Like, he's like, oh, nope, you're over. So Frank's like, Frank already had it in his mind. He's like, Frank told me, Bob told me, he's like, Frank told me you weren't going to pass. He's like, no matter what you did, you weren't going to pass. And I was like, he's like, they would have just kept doing more sparring rounds. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So Frank, like, literally, like, 6 months to 8 months later, moves to LA. And Bob's like, all right, Josh, I got fights for you. Starts lining me up fights. It just, you know, so just started fighting under AKA instead of Frank Shamrock. And so it just that's the way it all worked. Yeah, but he came in. Mike Swick did the tryouts. Ryan Bowe, Charles Taylor, those guys, they did the tryouts.
Ryan Bowe is a little ball of muscle, man.
He was hands down probably one of the nicest guys I ever met in the sport.
Super nice guy.
Super nice. Married a Japanese female and got married, and then spoke fluent Japanese. I think he still lives in Japan.
Yeah,
he still lives in Japan.
He actually came and he took my course long ago.
Oh,
yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, tried to become an official. Didn't quite.
He's a
work.
good guy.
He's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah. So you failed him.
Yeah, I did.
Jeez.
I know. I'm a mean individual.
Did Shaolin Ribeiro take yours?
No, he did not. I talked to him and I helped him with some stuff, but no, he did not. It's
gotcha.
Too far for him to go. He had to teach and stuff.
Yeah. Got it.
All
right. Well, hey, we ran off on a tangent. Look, that fight's not going to happen in the UFC. Dana's not bringing Tito back, and. Yeah, I mean,
nice
after all
try,
things, he's
nice
gone.
Try.
Nice try.
But watch, hold on, watch. Dana will pull out a fast one, and all of a sudden, yeah.
No,
I don't think so.
No, but where could they do that fight? Doesn't Tito have a contract with Combate?
Yeah, as far as I knew, but it may not.
You know, but I mean, Shogun and him maybe in the. I mean, I could see them do it over in Ryzen.
God, no.
Where did they do the Chuck Tito 3? Was that self-promoted?
De La Hoya Golden Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Golden Boy.
Yeah, that was in LA at the Forum, right? Yeah. I would say do it at the, do it in Ryzen.
I would say don't do it at all.
Yeah, that's true as well. All right, next one.
All right. So speaking of a fight announcement we can be excited about, Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez is ready for July 16th at featherweight.
This show is brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie.ag will give you a little extra spending cash if you use our promo code WeighingIn. Use that little QR code right there. Go to MyBookie.ag/WeighingIn. Use that promo code WeighingIn. We'll give you some extra spending cash. You could have potentially made some money depending on which way you went last night with Romero versus Davis in the tank. The tank came out throwing some heavy heat. But how did you guys bet? Romero was a plus 500. Davis was a minus 800. It was also scheduled to go over 6 at plus 100 at 6.5 at plus 100. How did you guys bet? Did you guys make some money? Did you guys use our promo code WeighingIn at mybookie.ag to make that money? Let us all know down in the comments below, and hopefully you guys did at mybookie.ag. Does Brian Ortega have the wrestling to get him down?
Yes. He doesn't. Hold on. Hold on, and this is why. He doesn't have to just shoot for wrestling takedowns. Brian's got good stand-up. He can throw with most guys. And there's a guy named Korean Zombie, and I know MMA math doesn't, always compute and add up, but there's a guy named the Korean Zombie who did very well in the stand-up game and was piecing Yair up at times during a fight that he actually was winning all the way up to the last second of the fight. Mm-hmm. That Brian Ortega showed you what he could do on the feet with him. Now, Yair's a different breed and he's a different style, and I understand that, but this is going to end up eventually, it's going to hit the floor. You watch. And I'm not saying it's going to be with a traditional takedown, wrestling wise, but it's going to end up hitting the floor somewhere along the way.
Yeah, but you can't use the Korean Zombie analogy.
Yeah, I can.
No, because then
Why?
I'm going to come back and I'm going to prove you wrong, because his most recent fight, he pieced up Max Holloway. I mean, he was lighting Max up with some big leg kicks, he was putting it on Max for a little bit there. That was a close fight.
Leg kick,
Yeah.
hold on. Let's be honest. It was the leg kicks that was the big thing that Yair was doing that was really working for him well. And when he had to go away from him because his foot got injured, his foot was getting tore up, it changed the course of the fight for him. So, yeah, I'm not saying that Ortega doesn't that's a great fight. I'm not saying Ortega's going to win. Yeah. But I'm saying I do think it's going to hit the ground somewhere along the way. But and that doesn't mean that Ortega is going to submit Rodriguez. Rodriguez has gotten way better with his ground skills and everything. But I just think it's going to hit the ground somewhere along the way. But
John,
it's a great
let's
fight.
be honest. This is a fantastic fight.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. Both of them have ways of winning.
Yep.
Brian's got to make sure that he avoids taking too much damage like he has done in the last couple fights. But he is a stud. He is someone that, obviously, we saw how fast he can latch onto that neck. We see how good he is in the triangle position. We see, T-City. There's a reason why. So it's like he is phenomenal on the feet. He's got long range. He does possess power. We know that. Can he avoid, because he's got longer legs, can he avoid the leg kicks? Can he avoid the body kicks that could potentially slow him down in a 5-round fight? I'm assuming this is the main event. I mean, I can't imagine this not being the main event.
No. Number 2 and number 3, come on.
Brian Ortega, man, he is someone that always brings the fight. He's always there. He's never someone that shies away from it. He's going to keep trying to walk you down. He's going to keep trying to win, even when he can't see out of his eyes. Got nothing but respect for this guy. He's a stud. Yair, I have a little bit of I'm not a big fan. I'm a fan of his talent. He is a good fighter. Other stuff outside the cage that it just drives me crazy. But this is a big fight. This is a huge fight for him. A win over Brian Ortega puts him right back into that conversation of, hey, I'm ready for a title shot.
Yes,
which he's not far off.
Oh my God, no.
He's not
right
far
there.
Off.
He's right there.
He's wasted so much of his career, though, John.
But if he gets, think about it. If he gets a win against Ortega, right, he's the guy, because he had a great fight with Holloway. So if Holloway ends up beating Volkanovski, you could say, hey, we want to see that fight again. And if Holloway loses to Volkanovski, well, then you need a different guy, and Rodriguez is your guy. It makes sense.
Do they pull? But is he, or do they pull back Korean Zombie and go, hey, you know what? You were getting your ass kicked up until the last second of this fight. You were down 50-45.
You can't use my analogies and stuff. You can't use what I was saying.
Like, does the UFC say, hey, we want to see you beat Korean Zombie? I mean, one guy
he did beat him, so you can't say that.
He did beat him, but we want to see you.
Beat him.
We want to see you actually beat him, not just with the lucky. It wasn't luck. That was awesome.
Hey, he threw it. He meant to throw it. He did it.
You have no choice but to throw that. He ducked his head down to the waistline and then threw the back elbow. That was fucking beautiful.
Yeah, but it was not luck, because it was an intended action by Yair. That's not
John.
luck.
I was being a smartass. You've known me long enough.
Sorry.
Come on. I want to make are you just pointing this out so the rest of our listeners understand that I was being a smartass?
Come on, dude. Let's be honest here.
He's very talented. It was a great elbow. I still consider that to be one of the best knockouts ever in history.
Incredible.
Absolutely, especially the way that Korean Zombie crumbled. That says a lot, because it went from he was on his feet to he literally just dropped.
Imploded.
He dropped straight down. Very, very crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it's a great fight.
crazy.
And the fact that they made it is awesome that they could get it put together. And, Brian Ortega is one of those guys. Brian almost died surfing. I don't know if you know the story.
No, I don't know. Tell it to me, John.
Dude, he
Tell
was,
the world.
He was out surfing and he got caught under the waves and he basically had to be pulled out and he was drowning. But he also, I talked to him about it and he says, all of a sudden he goes, I was being pulled out. He goes, I didn't even know where I was at. He goes, but it taught me something. I'm not afraid of dying. He says, and so when I fight now, he goes, hey, I'm not afraid of anything. It doesn't matter. I've been there. Ooh, that's a good thing to have there. It's a good attitude.
It is.
It's a good way of looking at things.
It is. Once I feel the same way, like when it comes down to, let's just talk about like fighters that seem like they're never in shape. Those are the fighters that are afraid to push themselves in that cardio realm. The ones that they don't understand that you've got to learn to push harder through that breaking point.
Yeah.
Because once you get through that breaking point, the rest of it all becomes easy because you know that no matter what, your body will recover. Deep breaths, slow your breathing down, walk back normally, okay, get ready to sprint again. You know what your pace is. You got to start creating that, start setting it up in your mind. Fighters that they understand how much their damage they can take, or they're always trying to reset that standard of how much damage they could take. And not just damage, but how much they could put their body through and continue to fight. Yeah. Like I said, there's been moments in my career, and I use myself because that's the only thing I can really go off of, There's moments in my career that I look back. The Hermes Franca fight to me was one where I took a ton of damage in the third round, and I look at myself, I go like, you're not a quitter. You're someone that will keep fighting. You're someone that's a question that most fighters ask themselves. Am I good when I'm a bully, or am I good when I'm the hammer?
Everyone's
How am I
good
when I'm the nail?
hammer. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's good. Everyone seems to be good when they're the hammer. But am I still able to fight through the adversity when I'm the nail? And can I still keep fighting? Can I still keep trying to win? Because everyone wants, all these fighters, they don't want to be down. They don't want to be losing, but they all want that miraculous comeback. And then I go to the Tony Ferguson fight when I fought Tony. The first round wasn't going my way. Second round definitely didn't go my way.
No, that was definitely not your round.
No, but if you look at the third round, I'm not saying it was going my way either, but there was never moments I was still trying to get to his back. I was still trying to get takedowns. Those are things like you just throw caution to the wind. You're like, fuck it. What do I have to lose? Once you've already lost the first two rounds, what does it matter if you lose the third? And I talk to fighters all the time. I'm like, oh, I was like, well, you fought so cautiously in the third round. Look, a fucking loss is a loss in your record. It doesn't matter if you got knocked out with a second left after you dominate, it's still a loss. It doesn't matter. Or if you got your ass kicked for 3 rounds, it's still a loss. So you might as well go out there and lay it all on the line. I think people are just afraid of getting knocked out. They're afraid. That's something I never feared. I was like, whatever. It happens. It happens. That's part of the game. And I've always said this, in 10 years, 15 years, the new breed's going to come up and no one's going to remember your fucking name anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't look back and go, God, man, Muhammad Ali lost all those fights at the end of his career. No, I go back and I remember the ones that were historic.
That's it.
And that's it. Like the same thing with Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture. Fuck, Randy's got what, like 15 losses or something? I don't know.
I would say like 11 or 12.
Yeah, he's got a lot, 11 or 12 losses, right? Chuck Liddell's the same way. He's got a ton of losses.
But then you look at the people that he fought.
Exactly.
And you go, he didn't have any easy. The easiest fights Randy Couture ever had were the first 2 fights of his career. Yeah. A guy named Tony Halm, who was a professional wrestler named Ludwig von Borga or something like that, right? Big dude who actually said that he was going to rip Randy's arms off and beat him with them. And Randy's mother, I will tell you, saw the promo for it, called and said, "What are you doing? Don't do it."
That's great.
And then he fought a guy named Stephen Graham, super big, super strong, pretty athletic. But those were his easiest fights, really. Yeah. You look at the litany of fighters that guy went through, who he competed against, it was always studs. Always studs.
Well, look at BJ Penn. What is he, like 16 and 15 or something like that? Or like, but look at the fucking guys he fought.
Yeah. Again,
I mean,
the easiest fight, I'm going to say Joey Gilbert at the beginning of his career, when Joey Gilbert was a tough guy, but that was it. His second fight, hold on. His second fight in the UFC was against who? Dean Thomas. Who was considered one of the best lightweights in the world at the time. Yes,
he was. Yep. You have Dean Thomas, then his third fight was Carl Uno, and then his fourth fight was the UFC title for Jens Pulver.
That's it.
Then after that, he kind of like came back, stepped away for a little bit, and then got refreshed and came back. But it's like he never had an easy fight. I mean, like go into I guess his next easiest fight would have been considered to be Dwayne Ludwig. No disrespect to Dwayne Ludwig, but stylistically, that was a good matchup for BJ.
That was a good matchup for him.
Yeah, like once the fight hit the ground, it was over. You know what I mean? Like it never won kind of. But you look at guys like when he fought Lyoto Machida. Lyoto Machida was what, 225, 220, 225.
Yeah.
He was fighting him at heavyweight.
Yep.
He fought
BJ
Henzo,
was 195.
Fought Rodrigo. Yeah, BJ was 195. That's true. Great. But he fought Henzo. He fought Rodrigo. He fought all these guys. Over in and he fought Takanori Gomi in his own organization, Rumble on the Rock. That was hands down one of the best performances I've ever seen from any fighter. Just dominated him. And Gomi was considered.
Twice.
Yep. Gomi was considered to be the best guy in the world at the time at lightweight. Everyone kept talking about it. Everyone kept talking about it,
Yeah, he proved that wrong.
Yeah, that was really wrong. He just dominated Takanori Gomi from beginning to end. And that rules meeting conversation, when I was sitting there listening to that, I think I said this about 3 or 4 weeks ago when we were talking about it. Every time Gomi came over, because he came over from that pride kind of, like stomp the heads, kick the, do all those things. Every time Gomi's like, oh yeah, so we need the head on the ground, and BJ's like, because that wasn't supposed to be in the original rules. He's like, yeah, whatever you want, yeah, and he was just looking right at him in the eyes the whole time. He's like, yeah, whatever he wants. He's like, oh, stomp the head, like they're translating for him. Stomp the head. He's like, yeah, stomp the head too, whatever you want. Yes. He just kept doing that, and you could just tell the look on Gomi's face. He was expecting me like, oh no, we're just gonna do these rules. And BJ's like, no, everything. Spear elbows. He's like doing this to his head. Like, he's like letting him know, no, we're doing everything. This is a fucking street fight. Yep. And you could just see a little bit of the change and like, this is my town. I'm in Hawaii fighting you. And it changed. It changed a lot. I don't know if you know, in that fight, in that whole sequence, they flew Gomi to New York first before they flew him to Hawaii.
Oh my God, you're kidding me!
No, they flew him all the way to New York. And there was another.
They pulled a Japanese trick right.
Yes, they did. Yep, they flew him all the way to New York, and they flew him like, I want to say like another location, and then that was the next location he flew. Yeah, they flew him like he had like 2 or 3 stops, but he flew to New York first. Oh, fucking! That's brilliant.
That's brilliant.
The Japanese do it to a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
So. Overall, though, okay, Brian Ortega and Rodriguez, going to be a great fight.
We're back on that
I'm looking. I know. That's okay. We're past that one. Okay, let's go. Next one.
All right. So the next fight, we have one at light heavyweight for August 6th, and it's Santos versus Hill.
That's really actually a solid matchup. It's a good one. Jamal Hill in the stand-up, look. Thiago Santos has his rushes, and he is fast, and he's got his blitzing attacks that he does. Jamal Hill, he's got power, man. He's got power, and he's got length. And he's going to be that's a great matchup. Either guy can win that. And that's, if you're Hill, coming in, ranked 10th there, coming in and saying, you know what, I get a win against Thiago Santos, that's going to bump him right up. That's a great fight for him. Santos has definitely got his hands full with Hill. That's a pick'em fight right there.
Yeah, so I look at it as a pick'em fight. The speed and the reach are going to go to Hill. The power up, like in terms of punching power, I'm going to probably put it in Hill's department. Yeah. But in the kicking department, if Santos gets after the legs and the body right away and keeps his hands up, it may cause some problems because Hill's taller, longer. He's got those kind of skinnier legs. If he gets after the legs quickly and that calf kick and those leg kicks,
he puts a lot of weight on that front leg too. So
yeah, well, he's got it if he's gonna start sitting down on them punches to land those hard shots.
That's true.
He's good. This is a huge step up in competition for him, though, and a big name. I think he can get it done. I do think he can get it done.
Yeah.
I like how composed he is out there. He is extremely fast. If he does touch the chin, I could see Santos going out. But, I mean, he's going to have to get past those body kicks and leg kicks because Santos is probably one of the hardest kickers in the game, man.
Man, he's got some serious power on his kicks. You know, I don't know. It seems to me there's two ways of going after Santos, but the ground is usually a good way if you can get him there. You know, and you go back and you can Gegard Mousasi hurt him on the feet, finished him on the ground. Look at what Glover was able to do. He was getting lit up in the stand-up, but worked towards getting those takedowns, survived, and then won the fight with it. That's a place I'm not sure that Hill has the actual skill set to cause Santos those kind of problems down there, though. He's not Gegard and he's not Glover on the ground, but it's a great matchup, and I think in the stand-up it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be a good fight. Yeah. Good luck to both those guys. All right, next.
All right, and we do have another fight announcement. Paddy Pimblett versus Leavitt at lightweight on July 23rd.
Against Leavitt, the tweaker, the man who is the twerker.
Which one? They both do. They both have
a
little weird funky dance they do.
They do it different way. So we're going to call this the twerking battle of the world.
This is nuts, John. If you're going to put these two guys, I want to know how Paddy Pimblett's going to make the weight.
He gets in shape.
He is so big right now. Have you not seen that guy's face?
Yeah, but some guys puff up, and that's just part of.
It's crazy, man.
Hold on. This is the difference. He's young, and he can do that right now. It will catch up to him later on. It'll catch up to him.
He looks like Podcast Dave before he started running. Before Podcast Dave started running, that's what he looked like right there. The haircut and everything. That's what Podcast Dave used to look like. Oh, man. We got to post pictures of. If you guys have not checked out Podcast Dave's Instagram, scroll all the way down to the bottom with all the blonde hair shots. It's so great that these, the Eminem, the fake Eminem look-alike. It was great. I love it.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I love to pull those pictures up and send them to him every time Dave starts talking shit to us. So does John. He's like, "Is that you, motherfucker? Is that you right there talking to me about my gray hair? Is that you right there? Huh? Dyeing your hair bleach blonde?" Jeez, I love it. I love it. This is a good fight.
It actually, look at Jordan's good.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually got a good ground game. Pimblett on the feet has more power than him.
Yeah,
it is going to be the problem for Jordan's going to have to figure out how to take his time, get to the clinch, work in the clinch. Once he gets it, if he can get into any type of position where they're clinched up, Jordan's got a good chance at beating him. Now I don't see it in a lot. I was the guy before that was saying, why isn't Paddy Pimblett fighting better people? Then I found out he's on a 12-12. I heard of this contract change, but if it did, great. If it didn't, you can't expect him to fight the big names and stuff. And Jordan's not a big name, but Jordan can fight. Jordan's a tough guy.
Yeah.
Even though he twerks after the fight, it's a little weird. So does Pimblett.
12-12, John.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's like fucking numbers when they first took over the UFC.
Yeah.
These fighters.
No, they were 2-2 back then.
4-4. I know. I was one of them. 2-2, 4-4, 8-8.
Yeah, baby.
That's what the numbers were. Yeah.
You're looking at 12-12 going, yeah, baby.
Yeah, right? Yeah, shit back then. Yeah. But I mean, you know what I mean? It's 12-12. I mean, for someone who is bringing in numbers, brings in a country.
Because he is starting to bring a whole lot. People are excited about him. His country follows him like there's no, tomorrow with it. So that one, they're getting away with something.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna. Kayla Harrison posted this picture. Did you see the caption? This one right here. Oh crap!
Did Kayla post something of her beating Horiguchi?
No, I would love to see that though.
We always tease. That's part of our thing with Kyoji Horiguchi. We always tease him because Kayla's always saying she goes, just to ask him if I submit him. And every time we go, Kayla's saying that she submitted. He just starts laughing.
He's the funniest guy, man.
He's great.
He speaks English really well. He pretends like he doesn't, but he does.
Oh yeah,
and he's hilarious.
And
They're
he's got a great laugh.
Yes, he does. And everyone says he speaks English just fine in the gym because he loves to talk shit.
Yep.
I love it. What's the caption say?
So she wrote on Twitter, "I'm almost afraid to do this on Twitter, but I have faith in humanity. Caption this." And it's this picture of her with her arms crossed, which I'll post for you guys on the show, on the video show. And I was going to reply, but I thought better of it. But I was going to reply and say, when Dana offers you your 12-12 contract for your first fight in the UFC, and she's got that face.
That's a good one, though. Yeah, 12-12. I could see that. Yeah, if Dana offers you that. I mean, Patty got his good wins. You know, he's dealt with some adversity in both fights. He's got the wins. This is going to be a big fight in terms of if this fight does hit the ground. We're going to find out if his grappling is better than what did he say his name? Leavitt.
Jordan Leavitt.
Yeah, we're gonna see. Leavitt's good on the ground. On the feet,
he is. Yeah, I know.
He's not that good on the feet.
That's the problem.
He suffers on the feet. I think Patty can sprawl and brawl, keep this fight on the feet. Now, if it goes to the ground, I mean, I think he's obviously Patty's good on the ground, but I also think that people give him too much credit. He's not a top level jiu-jitsu guy.
No,
he's not. And so when people start saying, "Oh, his grappling's really good," it's not top level.
If you take a look at what happened with him and Soren Bach when Soren Bach took him down, he was unable to do anything that caused Bach a problem. Unable to do anything that caused Bach a problem in keeping him down. So
yeah, I mean, there's just those guys that just have. That they have different styles of jiu-jitsu. Let me give you an example. Genki Sudo, his name came up yesterday. I was in the middle of a conversation. The guy's grappling was fucking insane. Yep. The shit he would do, it was crazy. Those are guys that are funky, different styles of like jiu-jitsu. Remember the time where he stood up in someone's guard and they opened their guard and he just locked around. He started swinging them around in a circle, like straight out of like the WWE.
That was who did that first? Remember Charles Bennett, Crazy Horse?
Oh, yes, I do remember.
Crazy. I can't remember the guy's name that he was fighting, but in King of the Cage, he did that and slammed his head into the cage. He started spinning him around and boom, bounces him off of the cage.
That's so funny.
Dude, Charles Bennett was one of the craziest bastards ever. Yeah, and you talk about a guy that was just perfect for our sport at the time. Yep. Charles Bennett was one of them.
Yeah, that guy was nuts. He got choked out by Vanderlei, right?
He got choked out in the back because he actually he didn't get choked out by Vanderlei. He got choked out by Cristiano, who was Vanderlei's jiu-jitsu coach. Because he had hit Vanderlei and knocked Vanderlei out in the back. Oh shit. At Pride. And then Cristiano ends up triangle choking him and choking him unconscious.
Yeah. Jeez, man. But then, Crazy Horse was part of the Hammer House crew, right? With Baroni and Coleman and those guys, I believe.
I don't think he was.
He wasn't part of the Hammer House, but they were all kind of mixed together.
He was his own guy, man.
He fit right in with those guys, by the way.
Oh yeah, dude.
He fit right in with those guys. I think it was during that I think they were all kind of parted with each other. Yeah, because I remember Baroni had some issues with Vanderlei, and I know that Coleman had some issues with those guys as well.
If you remember, that all started with, remember Coleman fought Shogun in Pride and was going for a takedown, and Shogun actually turned to try to get out and fell, and his elbow dislocated. Mm-hmm. And Coleman, the referee was trying to stop Coleman, and Mark, he's just going after him, going crazy, right? And Vanderlei had, they all jumped in the ring and they started fighting, and that was the big thing that all started. That's where we hate you now.
Yeah. All right, so Pimblett, he's got good grappling. It's not as high level as most people want to say it is, but it is good, and it will get better as he's a young kid, man. He will get a lot better as he grows into himself, into a matured fighter. Yeah, an adult. Yeah, he's really getting. We've already seen a little bit of the leaps. Like, he's already getting a little bit more composed. He's already getting a little bit better in terms of from his first fight to the second fight in the UFC. This is a big challenge for him. He's gonna have to keep this thing on the feet. I think on the ground he'll be fine, but he could deal with some adversity on the ground as well. I think I agree with you, John. He's got the power. He's got the power. I think he's got the better stand up and the ability to sprawl and brawl. I think he's also the more explosive fighter. He is the better athlete. But Leavitt, though, can get it done as well. I think he's going to have to be on the ground if he's going to get it done. So,
yep.
What else you got for us?
All right. Not an official fight, but Nick Diaz is saying that he wants to fight. He told TMZ he wants to fight by the end of the year. He's basically saying, like, he's like, I don't want to get beat up by all these young guys, so just give me the title shot because I'm the draw. It's basically what he said.
Yeah. Okay, so I posted something like this on my Twitter. I said, I want to see him fight. I wouldn't mind watching him fight for the title. I get it. But I said title. That doesn't mean that I'm talking about the welterweight title. I could be talking about the BMF title. I wouldn't mind watching him and Masvidal fight.
Oh,
Masvidal and his brother fought. I wouldn't mind watching, Masvidal and Nick fight.
Nope.
We've said that when Nick came back into the UFC, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
That was the fight that they should have made right away for the BMF belt.
Keep in mind, Colby's the champ, though, the BMF champ.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. But I want to see. I would like to see that fight. I'd like to see Masvidal and him fight. That's the fight to me to make.
I look at it. I thought the fight that they put together with him and Robbie was a good fight. Now, I know that Nick in the end said that he had problems with it based upon I have nothing to win.
Yeah.
Okay. And and that can be a problem in someone's mind as far as, look, I've already beat him, and so I feel like, I have nothing to win. But if you go and you watch that fight, first off, he fought his ass off.
Yeah.
He was given everything that he could. Robbie fought one of the best fights I've seen Robbie fight, in a long time. It was a great matchup. And if there's one thing that with Nick, he's going to come and give you everything that he's got. And so, would I mind seeing him against Kamaru? No, I wouldn't, other than this. Kamaru would stand with him until he started getting lit up. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to go and use his wrestling, which he should. I'm not saying he shouldn't. But what is Nick always complaining about? People wrestling him, then it's on the ground. Yeah. And it's going to end up being, he can try to, use his submission game and stuff. But, I don't think that Kamaru would end up standing up with Nick that much out of the first round. Things would start to become difficult. He is a handful as far as the way he creates, situations that he just touch, and then he'll throw power in there, and he'll take shots to give shots, and he just keeps this buzzsaw action going that makes you start to become more defensive than offensive. And you end up saying, screw this. And when you've got that wrestling background, you're Kamaru Usman, you're going, I'm taking him down. And, that's what I see here.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree with the Kamaru Usman. I think the same thing with the Colby Covington situation. When you put him against wrestlers, both the Diaz brothers, like, they have a hard time. The physical strength isn't there for their submissions anymore unless they catch them off of a guillotine or a triangle or something where their limbs, the length of their limbs, will help them. Darces, anacondas, that type of stuff I could see them really working into because of the length of their limbs. Nick, to me, at 185 is not a fighter. It's not the fighter that you would like him to be. 170 is the fight to make it at, but I don't know if he can make 70 anymore. I don't know if he has the desire to make 70 anymore. So realistically, him at 185, you've got to pick the fights. And the UFC, to be smart, they understand he's never going to be champion. But use him as much as you can to make money. He's a draw. There's no fucking doubt that he's a draw. Yeah. And I'd love to see him and his brother on the same card.
There you go.
And even if it's a farewell to both of them, whatever it is, let them both ride out into the sunset and be like, hey, man, you guys served your purpose. You're both getting older. Let's whatever. Him and Masvidal would be a good fight. You put Nate with Dustin, that'd be a good fight as well. Or back with Connor. Those two fights right there would be huge draws. You put those two fights on. I mean, I know you can main event them on their own. Yeah. But let's say you have Connor and Nate as the main event, and you've got Nick and Masvidal as the co-main, and whoever else you put on there, no one will give a shit. Doesn't matter what the rest of your card is. It could be all the 12 and 12 fighters. No one would care. They'd all buy the pay-per-view. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's something I would look maybe into. I mean, I'd like to see him get a good fight, though. Give me somebody else that he could fight who's getting a little bit older in age. Stephen Thompson? But then that style doesn't really...
No, you could. I think that would have been one of the people I would have brought up. I think Stephen Thompson against Nick would be interesting. Look, Stephen Thompson's not going to try to take him down. You know it's going to be a stand-up battle, but the problem is with Nick saying exactly, you know, I don't want to fight if it's not for the title. I want to. That's what's going to motivate me. Yeah. Okay, you know. So that the problem is, you know, Stephen Thompson isn't the champion. Yeah. So, not sure he would want that fight.
Then maybe you go BMF belt with Masvidal.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
it's not for the world title, but it's for the BMF title, and that's. But you know, does the UFC want to do that again?
Yeah, I mean, what Nick's got? How many titles? He's got the Elite XC title. He's got the Strikeforce title. He's got a couple other titles. I don't know. He's got some other ones, I'm sure. But all right, well, hey, that's a fight too. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what the UFC does with him. We'll see. All right, next.
Okay, next story. So I want to get your thoughts on Frankie Edgar saying that he basically, you know, is undecided on retirement. So kind of where do you put him if he is undecided? Is he going to be bantamweight, featherweight, and who does he fight, and where does he fit?
You know, I don't know. I talked to him yesterday. Actually, I was on the phone with him yesterday, chatting it up a little bit, and yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know what he wants to do. I don't want to talk. I didn't talk to him about his fighting and what he's gonna do, but some other things. But he's in that position of what do I do? Do I go to 30? Do I 35? Do I go back up to 45? Make myself feel healthy. The speed and the power is gonna be a factor no matter where he goes. I don't know, man. I mean, he's
going down to 35. The speed's only worse. The speed differential. Like, Frankie Edgar lived his career off of being the faster guy. He made himself off of being the faster guy. He was fast. He was in, he was out. His wrestling was sharp. He was able to use his hands to get his wrestling takedowns and stuff. If you know, it all comes down to this: what is it you want to do? Is it you just want to have a fight, or is it that you want to compete to become the very best once again?
Yeah.
And if that's what he wants, and I love Frankie Edgar, I think he's one of the greatest guys out there, but that time has passed. He's not going to be the champ. And I know that's a hard thing to say, and I don't want to ever, you know, in any way put him down. I love him. But he's not going to be the 135-pound champ, and he's not going to be the 145-pound champ. So why are you fighting? You know, he's got all these things going for him, and he is, you know, he's a Hall of Famer. He is just a phenomenal person. I don't want to see him go out, you know, trying to take out, you know, these guys. I do think that if you're going to sit there and if he wants another fight, you know, I do think that fight would. If it's 135, that's where you want to stay. Dominic Cruz. Yeah. That's a legends fight. That's a great fight between two legends of the sport, both ex-champions. That could be something. But
no, I agree with you, John. I look at like, hey, you guys, they're giving Shogun his fights, you know, not against world beaters.
Yeah.
They're giving other fighters that are getting older in age, you know, Jim Miller, they're giving him fights that are, you know, that they feel like he could potentially win. Frankie's in that position now as well. Let him make his money. Let him move on, you know, whatever it is he wants to do. Yeah. If he wants to try to make another run, I don't know. You know, I don't know if that's possible. Yeah, and I don't think it is, especially as you get down lower, the speed kills. And he's losing the speed a little bit.
Yeah.
The ability to get in deep on takedowns, you know, and hit the angles and turn the corners and do all it's slowing down. And so that's going to be hard and difficult with the guys that are 135 and 145. So, and just the sheer size of the guys at 55. I mean, we used to say that before, but then he was also a lot faster.
Yeah, but now the bottom line, now he's not going to be a lot faster.
No, exactly.
And so you're not going to be a lot faster, and you're not going to be bigger, and you're not going to be stronger. And it's like, that's not good either. Like, and this is, again, his last two fights. His fight against Corey Sandhagen, his fight against Marlon Vera. The Sandhagen fight was fast. You know, he hardly got going. But that was a huge knockout.
Yeah.
That knee, I mean, it just blasted him. And then the Marlon Vera with the front kick, again, huge knockout. there comes that point where those things start adding up, and then you just can't. The next one, it doesn't have to be as devastating as those two, and it's still going to put you out.
Yeah,
and there just comes that point, and I don't want to see Frankie get into those. I don't want to see him be the opponent, and this happens in fighting all the time. If you're the UFC, I know he makes good money. I know you're paying him, and so they don't want to put him against someone that is a nobody. They want to use his name. It's the same as I remember not yelling, but being in a discussion with Sean Shelby over BJ Penn when he was going to fight Yair Rodriguez. And I said, why in the fuck are you doing that to him? I said, Sean, I know, and you know what's going to happen in this fight. And he looked at me, he says, John, what do you want from me? He goes, I got a guy that makes a ton of money. I said, you want me to put him against someone that he can beat so he can then want more money and another fight? He goes, or do I use his name? And I was like, our business sucks.
Yeah.
It really does.
The reason why it sucks is because for myself, I've grown up watching these guys, and you've been in the cage with them, it's like you've come up, watching
them.
all these guys.
They're good people, man. And, some guys, and Frankie, he's a cut above. Mm-hmm. You see the stuff that he does for other fighters. You see the way he interacts. You see what he does. This is a guy, pure class throughout. You don't want to see him go out like that.
Yeah, he's never jeopardized himself for a sellout type situation. He's always putting his friends and his family and his career first. He's always been a company man. He's always, done nothing but just tried to toe the line for the UFC to make sure that he's always been in the good graces,
great for
not
him.
just with them, but he is a big time proponent of young athletes living their dreams. His kids, I think he's in Virginia Beach right now, with his family,
wrestling.
Kids wrestling. Like, he's a stud, man. The guy does so much for his community. My mom lives right down the road from him in Toms River, maybe like quarter mile, maybe a mile away, something like that. And she always sending me paper clippings of, yeah, Frankie made the news today, or Frankie's in here for this, or Frankie's in the newspaper for this. My mom still reads the newspaper, by the way.
So does my dad.
I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, but
funny.
I'm always getting like pictures of newspaper clippings. Oh, Frankie's in the newspaper today. And I was like, he's an absolute amazing person. His family is absolutely amazing too. And yeah, I agree with you, John. I don't want to see that end part, the way that, some fighters go out. I don't want to see that. And
nope. I don't.
I want to see him walk off into the sunset. Yep. I mean, he's one of those guys I would like to see him get involved in, in management, because he built relationships.
Has been. Let's be honest.
Yeah, let's be honest. Yeah, he has.
He has
but I'd like to see him have a really.
He could continue on with that and make it to where, look, he's one of those guys. Look, Ali, is dominance MMA. Frankie started him. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
No, I'm not, and that's taking nothing away from Ali. Ali's done a great job. He's worked his ass off. He's done all the things that he's supposed to do. But that was the guy that he used as credibility to get himself started. Yeah.
And Frankie was, we rode up together in a minivan together, I think. I think it was a minivan. It was all of us, though. It was me, Frankie, Ali. Went up to Henzo's to train, and then we went down to Phil Nurse's to hit mitts, and we went and did all this stuff up in New York and drove all the way back down, all in one day. That's how dedicated this guy was. He'd go on, I think it was a Monday or a Tuesday. I think it was a Monday. We went up on Monday morning early, went to Phil Nurse's. He hit mitts for like an hour and a half, and then we got done there. Then we went to Henzo's and we rolled there, did a John Danaher class. Then we trained with everyone there. The fucking room was packed, barely any room to train. We trained there for another hour and a half. So we were there for 2 hours, went and had lunch, and then we fucking drove back. And when we got back, we went straight to the gym, man. Went to Ricardo Almeida's and did some grappling there, a little bit of like MMA sparring. And then he went off, and I was like, man, I'm done for the day, dog. I don't have a fight coming up,
I'm
man.
tired.
I'm good. So, the drive and all that, it's an hour and a half drive, and traffic and stuff from Toms River to New York.
Oh, yeah.
Through the city and shit.
Especially go to
the
Henslow's.
bridges.
That is not a good place.
No, it's like
As
through the
far as to get
bridges
to.
or the bridges or the tunnel. It's like, gosh, man, fucking pain in the ass. Through the tunnel, actually, not the bridge. But anyways, absolutely stud, dedicated to his craft, family man. And, he's lived with me for a while. He stayed with me for a while, here at AK when he was training here in the beginning of his career. Absolutely amazing person. So whatever he decides to do, I hope it's something he loves. Him being with Ali, though, absolutely. I think it's a no-brainer. His relationship, not just with Ali, but his relationship with every fighter on that damn team. Everyone loves him.
Yep.
And how do you not love him? If you ever get a chance to say hi to him, stop him, say hi, because he is a great person.
Yep.
All right, enough about Frankie. We're blowing him up. Blowing up. I'm gassing up the friends. All right, next.
All right. You guys ready for some fan questions?
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. We got about 30 minutes here of fan questions. So this first one comes from Copious One, who asks, question for Big John. With the amount of footwork and movement it takes to be a good referee, do you physically and mentally prepare more for someone with a fast pace like Colby or Tony? Are you more relaxed if it's a Tim Sylvia kind of fight? Big fan of the show, and thank you for giving us content every week.
You're absolutely right. I'm just going to tell you straight out. First off, the hardest fights, I tell people all the time, the hardest fights to do are the lighter weight fighters. They move way more. You've got to do a lot more of your footwork. The footwork of a referee should be very similar to the footwork of a fighter. And when I train guys, I train them in footwork and how to move, and it's how to pivot, how to turn, and you do things that are efficient and put you in the right place to hopefully see what is the most important thing that occurs. But when you're talking about, a lot of referees don't like doing heavyweights because it's like, oh man, this is going to be a big knockout. So what? The knockouts or any of that stuff. First off, the heavyweights for the most part are slower. Yes, there's going to be a big knockout, and I see the guy go down. I see, oh, he's done, and I stop the fight. No big deal. It's always the lighter weight fighters. The flyweights are a pain in the ass. Those little bastards are moving all over the damn place, bipping and bopping. And this is when you have a guy like a Dominic Cruz. Dominic takes weird angles. He has no rhythm. It's a rhythm for him, but it's a strange rhythm for anybody outside of it because you've got to compensate and you want to be in the right place. And there's certain things you need to do. So, I would move a little bit different when I had Dominic Cruz. There's always going to be differences, and you need to know those differences in those fighters. But the lighter weight fighters, by far, are more work, are harder to move with, and you just got to be on your toes more and be more aware of where you are at and putting your body in the right position.
Did you do the Dominic Cruz Cody Garbrandt fight?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
What do you do when they start breakdancing? Do you start breakdancing too, John?
No,
Is that what you do?
No, you just sit there and you go, that's fucking awesome.
That's so great.
That's what I was doing.
John's like, man, I wish my body could move like that.
He did. He started doing that stuff, right? And I just went, all right, man.
That was good.
You are
I
in
loved
control of this. You are not going to
Yes.
go crazy. Way to go, man.
Hands down, the best Cody Garbrandt we've ever seen.
That moment, though, when, at least in my mind, because there was the question of, look, Dominic is so good at getting under the skin of his opponents. The whole fight, build up and everything. He was just making, all these comments, and it was to get Cody to be that guy that overextended, made a mistake that he could catch him in. And I saw him do that breakdance thing. It's basically like, nope, boop, come on back. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, man, there you
Wow.
go.
Yeah.
It showed a lot. That little thing showed a whole lot as far as, okay, so you're not going to fall for the bullshit. Way to go.
Yeah, I watched that fight in New York City with Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture. We were at the World Series of Fighting. Justin Gaethje fought Buscape, and
Yeah.
Jake Shields fought John Fitch.
Yeah.
I think it was the next night. But we watched it the night before, I think, with at some nightclub type bar setting or whatever. But yeah, I recall. I thought you were the ref for that fight.
Yep.
All right, next.
Next question from Kevin B. Question for Josh. What's a fighter's perspective and thought process when odds come out / change following weigh-ins / missing weight, other factors, etc.? Does it rattle a fighter's mindset to see the odds change? What goes through their mind? P.S. Ask Coker to do a Canadian card when he gets the chance. #Anstill.
I don't think so. I don't know. Every fighter's different. For me, right, when I fought Gilbert the first time, I didn't know until someone had asked me a question like at the presser that week. Hey, do you realize you're a 4-1 underdog? And I was like, no, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So, it didn't bother me at all. I got to be honest though. One of the first things I thought about after I won that fight was I'm a 4-1 underdog and I won that fight. I didn't think about it though beforehand.
I should have bet myself.
I should have bet on myself. So, I mean, no, I don't think fighters change those things. Now, as a person outside, maybe if a fighter watching another fighter not make weight, depending on what they look like on the scale, I may change my bet or I may go and bet one way. But I can't say as a fighter who is the person fighting, I don't think they really pay attention to the odds. Also, too, the odds change quite a bit, especially that week of the fight, because so many people are betting on them and not betting on them or whatever it is. And so I don't think fighters, they got enough things on their plate to worry about that week of the fight. They're not worried about the betting odds. And as far as Coker in Canada, bro, email him. I guess it's the best I can do.
Send him a tweet.
Yeah. You're asking me to tell him to go to another country. We've been trying to go to other countries. We're going, yeah. I've been trying. We've been trying. So he'll yeah. That's a Coker question.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Next.
All right, next question from Ace MMA. Question for both. Who is the most revolutionary MMA fighter post Royce Gracie? I think it may have been Fedor. He wrote the book on how to beat kickers versus Crow Cop and how to beat BJJ wizards on the ground versus Nog. GSP and BJ Penn, I imagine, are right up there, though.
I mean, we talked about him earlier on the show, but I'm gonna go back and stroke his ego a little bit more. Right after Royce, I would say Frank Shamrock. After Royce, then it would go into like BJ Penn, GSP. Then Marco Ruas was kind of in the middle there, just didn't get as much.
What? Stop. Beginning.
No. The middle between Frank and Royce.
Yes. Okay.
He was in the He was in the middle between
Royce and
Yeah, but he just didn't get as much love. There wasn't as much. I think they were dealing with a lot more issues of trying to get this thing legalized and trying to like in certain locations, especially after Royce and Frank in that middle. They had a lot more problems, right, John, during that middle time? Because I recall not being able to watch them for a while. It was hard to watch them. It was super hard to find them.
Well, it was actually right after when Marco Ruas' first fight in the UFC was at UFC 7.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in Buffalo, New York. And it was a big show, sold out arena, amazing. He wins the tournament. He ends up leg kicking Paul Varlins, a guy well, to the point where Paul couldn't stand anymore and beats him down. He wins the tournament, but he didn't come back and fight again. He fought in the Ultimate. Mm-hmm. He beats Keith Hackney and he loses to Oleg Taktarov. Mm-hmm. And then after that, he didn't come back and fight again until he fought Maurice Smith at UFC, I think it was 21. Yeah. And he had some contract things going on and stuff, and they were trying to get him more money and things like that. But at the time, it basically was what it was. But Marco Ruas was a guy who had great kicks, good stand up, decent ground game as far as he wasn't a jiu-jitsu wizard, but he was good at controlling on the ground and stuff. I agree with you. Everything goes in a progression. And I always say, I always looked at it. It's kind of like how computers came up, because MMA came up at the same time as the internet and basically, the computer explosion. And, Royce was the 1.0, I would say. And then I would say like a Marco Ruas, a Chuck Liddell, a Randy Couture was a 2.0. And then you had BJ was the 3.0, George St. Pierre, Fedor 4.0, and then the 5.0, I'm going John Jones. That's really the way to look at it. But yeah, there is those guys. But if you're going to say, the one guy, it's tough because there's a progression of them throughout time, and you needed each one of those guys and what they did and how they changed the game as far as what people did. So,
yeah, I it's funny, but then there hasn't been anything past 5.0 because it's just John Jones. So there hasn't been, but I agree with you. Yeah, it kind of goes 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. Yeah, but I would put Frank in that. It was Hoist, then I would say Frank and Marco, who also was in the middle there somewhere, like maybe 1.5.
Yeah.
You know, the 37 and a half. UFC 37 and a half. He was like in that, he was in that middle half thing between him and Frank because he did a lot of good things. He was the first guy that did the foot stomps, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
So he was kind of like the guy that kind of and the leg kicks were super nasty and vicious from him. He was good, man. He was good, but I thought he was kind of that chain between him and Frank.
Great guy,
between Hoist and Frank.
I used to have a shirt that I sold at my gym, and what did it say? Something about, I something like I did this before everyone thought it was cool. Or something like that. And I sent him, one of the guys I sent one to was Marco, and he sent me a picture of him wearing it. It was like,
he seems like a good guy.
He's a great guy.
I met him
down
one
in
time.
Laguna
I met him one time in turn, and just in passing, just like, hey, how are you? And he was with a group of other fighters that were talking, and I didn't really get a chance to talk with him. But I was like relatively young. I think I was like only 20 years old.
Oh, he definitely had a temper, man. I'll tell you what. I was there a couple times where he would someone would say something out of his camp, and all of a sudden he'd start fighting. He'd just like throw the guy down, start thumping him. Right? There was a dude. I don't know if you what was his name? I want to say Marco Albuquerque was the guy's name, and he went around like he was a trainer of guys and a manager of guys, and that dude pissed Marco Ruas off so bad. Marcos beat the shit out of him in this suite. I was like, "Yep, don't fuck with Marco Ruas. He doesn't care if he's."
What's this guy's name?
I want to say it was Marco Albuquerque.
Look him up, Dave. Let's see what this guy looks like.
I don't even think he's got. I don't think he ever had a fight. You can maybe you can find him up on Google.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's try and see what this guy looks like. There might be old school pictures of him.
Maybe
with bumps on his head.
That's not him. He's gonna be kind of bald looking. No.
Kind of bald right there on the. What's that top there? Jiu-jitsu?
No, that's not.
No, there's a bald looking guy there.
There's a bald looking. Hold it. The one with the black something. Let me see that guy's face. The second picture from the one with the red. Top. That one right there. Nope.
Yeah.
Go back.
With the one with the red. No, one over with the red writing.
No, that's him right in the black shirt right there.
Oh, the guy in the middle.
The guy in the middle between Krokop and Hoist. That's him.
Man, Hoist, man. Look how thick Hoist looked back then.
Yeah.
Hoist is he's all lean and ripped right now.
Yep. But that's Marco Albuquerque right there. Yeah, I watched Marco put a thumping on.
Who else? Marco put a thumping on Marco.
Who else put a thumping on Marco?
That's so great, man. All right, next.
All right, next question is for Big John from... Oh, it's a Russian name. I can't even pronounce that. What's your memories about Conor's KO against Aldo? You were in the cage that night. What was your reaction? Did Conor's punch look and sound that scary when you were there near both fighters?
Oh, man. I'll tell you what. The truth of what I can, I remember the whole thing, but it was the buildup was big. And this is one of the things that's kind of funny is you get into those, and Josh will tell you, you get into things become so normal and natural that people are like, "Oh, do you get excited?" No, I don't get excited. And do you get scared? No, I don't get scared. But and you got to figure. Like I was traveling and doing fights all the time, thousands and thousands of fights. So you get used to, hey, I go in, I do my job, and I don't look at it in any different way as far as, who the fighters are. I want to do the same job, even though you referee all fights a little bit different. But that fight, I remember when, Conor came in the cage and he did this thing, and then Aldo did, and I got this like buzz. I remember it. And I got this buzz going down my spine. I went, oh, this one may be a little bit different. Obviously, I was feeling that this was a big fight. And so as soon as it started, if you notice, Conor will come out. He's southpaw. And Aldo comes out and he is orthodox, which means that their backs are to me, and I don't want to be on that side. So as they come out and approach, I'm doing a quick shuffle around to get my ass to the open side of both fighters. And I had just set my feet basically when Conor throws this little kick, right? And all of a sudden I see Aldo, and you can see Aldo kind of loading up. And I'm thinking, okay, he's going to throw. And all of a sudden they come together and they both threw, but Conor's got there. And I see Aldo just doing he looks like a tree falling down. Boom. And, again, it's the way a fighter falls. It tells you a lot. So as soon as he fell, I'm looking at the way he's falling. He's falling face forward. So I'm trying to get over there as fast as I can without hopefully going to touch them as I'm watching him fall, because I want to see his response as he hits the ground. And when he hits the ground and there was no response, you just see me try to push Conor off, because I realized he's not going to be able to defend himself as Conor is coming down with a hammer fist. And that was it. It was fast. It was explosive, but that was everything that went through my mind at that time.
Yeah, it's it all happened so fast.
Oh, man.
It's you don't realize until you go back. You're like, man, I remember that. Fuck, it seemed like it happened so much faster in the cage. When you watch it though at home, it's like, man, that was really slow. So, you know what I mean? But it does happen fast, especially when you're live in the action.
Yep.
Next.
Sean McLaughlin asks, what happens if an interim title fight goes to a draw? Only similar situation I can recall is when Uno versus Penn was for the vacant lightweight title, and then that was a draw.
Go ahead, Josh. I'm waiting.
There's no interim title given.
No. What people need to look at is this. First off, if there's an interim title up for grabs and it's a draw, there's no champion. There's no interim champion. If there is an interim title and you have a draw, again, there's no champion. It doesn't stay with somebody. You're nothing anymore. It's only the champion. When the champion has that undisputed title and there's a draw, he remains champion. That makes sense?
Simple. Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was actually going to ask you what you just answered. If I am the interim champ, say the champ still can't fight, and I am the interim champ, and I fight somebody else, and it ends up being a draw,
there is no interim champ
title.
No,
so there is no interim. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But I'm sure there's some promotion along the way would say, you're still my champion. Because, and this is what you need to figure out. It's not all belts. The UFC belts, the Bellator belts, KS1, Cage Warriors 1, whatever. They're promotional belts. And the promotion can do whatever it wants. When Charles Oliveira misses weight in the Justin Gaethje fight, it wasn't the commission that took his belt. It was the UFC. They're the ones in control of that belt, not the commission. The commission has no rights over that belt. They can do nothing. The UFC is the one that determines, we are stripping you of the belt.
But wait, can the UFC give him the belt if he wins? Can the UFC decide that if he wins, he's still the lightweight champion?
Yes. Yes, they can. It is their belt. Okay, I want you to think about this. A couple of times they actually handed belts to people. Okay? But they were already champions somewhere else. Aldo was the champion in the WEC at featherweight. He comes over to the UFC and they made him the champion before his first fight in the UFC. They gave him that belt. Ronda Rousey was the Strikeforce champion, right? She beat Miesha Tate, dislocated Misha's arm, and then she comes over, and before her fight with Liz Carmouche, they didn't say that, this is a fight, both women going to fight for the title, neither one's champion. They made Ronda Rousey the champion before that fight ever took place. She was the champion walking in that cage.
Yeah, that's because there was no weight class. Though they didn't have those weight classes previously.
What are you talking about?
There wasn't a 145-pound weight class.
Yeah, the UFC didn't have those weight classes.
Yes.
Before, you're right. Exactly. Yeah. Same with I think Dominic Cruz. Didn't he also coming over from the WEC was put in as the champion of The one that they had the tournament in was for the flyweight.
Yeah. Yeah, but then certain fighters, right? Because like Pettis was the champ in the WEC, but then
there was already a champion.
There was already a champ in the UFC.
Yes.
Yep. Got it. Next.
VLPL asks, question for both. You guys said not all close fights is a robbery, but which fight in MMA you can give us an example that you think or feel it was a robbery?
Ooh, you caught me off guard. I got to prepare for these ones.
Yeah, that's just off the top
my
of your
memory
head.
is
Trying to remember a questionable fight.
Let me see. What fight was a robbery?
Yeah, which one? Come on, Josh.
We all know that John thinks Max and Volk 2 is a robbery.
I'm not saying that's a robbery, but that was to me, it was clear that Max won 3 rounds of that fight.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch the real questionable round in that is the 4th round. Go back and watch it. Man, I'll tell you what, it's tough for me to say that Max didn't win that round, but that's life.
I'm trying to off the top of my head, I can't really think of a fight that would really be considered a robbery. I think you see them probably more in boxing, like just blatant robberies. You see them more in boxing, you know. All
right, well then let's do this. Let's do this next one then, and maybe it will come to you and you can go back to it. Kanan Duggar asks, in your guys' opinion, how do you think Alexander Volkanovski would fare against lightweights like Charles and Islam? Super curious on how he'd perform at that weight. Love your guys' show.
Wait, Volkanovski against who?
Charles and Islam.
I'm going to get so much heat for this.
Yes, you are. Go ahead. I'm waiting.
I am.
Look, Volkanovski is a phenomenal fighter. You can take nothing from him. He has just obliterated the featherweight division. You know, Max Holloway is the one guy that you can look at and say he's the one that's come closest to actually, you know, beating Volkanovski in the fight. Now, Ortega had his moments in that, I want to say, 3rd round where he got the topside guillotine and he got the triangle choke. But other than those two, you know, it was pretty clear that Volkanovski was just able to, you know, dominate most of the rounds, except for that one fight with Max. He's been phenomenal. Now, to sit there and say, is he going to go up and is he going to beat Oliveira? He could. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh no, he can't. Yeah. He absolutely could. You know, as far as we've seen that, look at Brian Ortega is a damn good submission fighter. That guy has got great jiu-jitsu. And the fact that he locked on that topside guillotine and couldn't make it work, it says a lot about, you know, and there's certain guys out there that, you know, they're not unsubmittable, but goddamn, they're close. They are tough. And Alexander Volkanovski is one that is proven. He's one that's close. And so I'm not too sure that he would be that fearful of the ground. I know he would be respectful of it, but he's not going to be fearful of it. He'll be respectful of that, and he'll be respectful of the stand-up, but I think he'll believe that his stand-up, he's got power that he can hurt Oliveira. And the fight with Islam, you know, I think that he's going to look and say, I don't think you can take me off my feet, for one. And, you know, in the stand-up, I'm going to tell you right now, in the stand-up, I'd say that Volkanovski has the advantage over Islam. Josh is going to, you know, refute that, and he's going to, you know, say, no, you're wrong, but I really do, because he believes in his stand-up way more than Islam does. Islam uses his stand-up to get into the grappling situation. That's where he does his best. Can he take Volkanovski down? I believe he could, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, but
can't take him down at will.
He definitely could. But to sit there and say, you know, is Volkanovski a guy that, you know, oh, if he went up in weight, oh, he couldn't beat those guys? Look, the guy's a hell of a fighter. He can beat anybody.
This is true, John. I'm going to say all the things that you said I'm going to say.
Okay.
Islam is going to ragdoll Volkanovski around. He's going to foot sweep him. He's going to hip toss him. He's going to do all those things. Could Volkanovski beat Islam? He absolutely could. He could. There's a chance. Okay? I mean, what I'm saying is Volkanovski, you got a chance. Okay? In terms of fighting. But I look at it too with Oliveira, same thing. Oliveira, I think, mops him all over the mat, everywhere. Okay? And sure, maybe there's the style of the body style might be a little bit of a difference. You know, Oliveira is good in terms of transitions. He's good on the feet. He's gonna the reach and the height of that, the way he does his stand up leg kick type of thing and the push kicks and all that stuff. It's gonna give Volkanovski some problems. But could Volkanovski beat him? He sure as fucking hell can. You know, when you have somebody like a Volkanovski and not just him, I look at other guys. Like I think of Max Holloway. They'd have some success as well in 155 if he put the weight on properly. If he put the weight on properly, if he came in and took the time to really build up his muscle and strength and all of those things that go along with it and was able to properly nutrition down, that type of stuff, I think that Max would have a very successful career at 55. I don't know if he'd become champion, but I think he'd be in that top 2 or 3. I definitely believe that. So those guys, I think, transition better to 55 only based on the fact because they're fast. They're explosive, they're fast, and they've already kind of wiped out the rest of the division. Those guys they're basically just the 2 guys left. I look at it a little bit like how it was Gil and I in the Strikeforce days. It was like the 2 of us just at the top going, okay, look, I'm going to fight one guy, come back, fight you again. You're going to go fight one guy, come back, fight me again. Those 2 guys seem to keep doing the same thing. Volkanovski just keeps winning. Max goes off and beats somebody, comes back. Fights are close. But both those guys can fight for sure in that 155-pound weight class. I would like to see Volk go up. I would. But I would also like to be able to kind of handpick his guys. I think that for him, with the level, if he beats Max again, let's say he beats Max again, there's nothing left for him in that division. Go, give it a try. You know, give it one shot, keep your title, give it a shot, have them fight an interim title, whoever it is. Go there, give it a shot one time at the title. If you don't get it, you don't get it. Against whoever the champ is. If it's Islam, great. If it's Oliveira, great. If it's, I don't know, whoever it is at the time you decide to go and do that fight, if you win it, okay, then you're there to stay, buddy. But if you don't, you go back down to 45 and just keep beating the guys that are actually in your own weight class. But I love when guys try to challenge themselves because a lot of guys can just sit at the top and be like, yeah, there's nothing there for me. Like, I was surprised that John Jones didn't do this way sooner. Knowing that he had beaten DC and DC had had success at heavyweight, I was surprised that John's like, you know what, I'm fucking out of here. Why am I cutting weight? Why am I doing this? I can beat these guys at heavyweight. He should have done it before he fought Dominic Reyes and Santos and Anthony Smith. He should have left then. I mean, it really just seemed like he was like, I'm kind of bored with this situation.
He was bored with it. I think that was part of the problem.
Yeah. So I would have liked to have seen him bounce out sooner. That's the problem sometimes, is that you start to lose your luster from the fans. Like they're just like, his numbers were never really that great to watch any of those guys fight. Had he made that change during that time when he was still a little bit younger, had a little bit more left in the tank and motivated himself, I think that we wouldn't be having this conversation we're in now with him. I think with Volkanovski, you're going to run into the same thing. If he keeps beating all these guys the way he's beating them, the fights are a little bit closer in terms of there's some action in there, but I mean, he's doing a great job promoting himself. He takes care of himself. He's a true athlete in terms of he takes care of his body. He takes care of, he's doing everything he needs to do to continue to be the best 145 pounder, in the UFC. So I look at it that I'd like to see him challenge himself at 155, maybe after this Max fight. I can't think of anybody else that really I'd like to see him fight. Maybe Yair, if Yair starches Ortega. But if he doesn't starch Ortega, then I have no interest, really. I'm like, move on. Go. Yeah. There's bigger fish to fry up in the 155-pound weight class.
I agree.
Next.
All right, we'll wrap up on this question with Josh's favorite fighter from Jad.
Are we going back to the robbery one? Are we thinking about that? Are you thinking about
Do you have one? Do you have one? I don't have one.
I have two.
Okay.
If you remember, and I don't want to say robbery though, because it's like, it was a mistake in my opinion. Fedor fought Fabio Maldonado.
Yeah.
And I believe it was, I don't want to say if it was the first round or second round, He gets rocked. He gets hurt bad, and he barely makes it out of that round. It was a 10-8 round, easy, no doubt. And then he wins 2 rounds. It should have been a draw, but he ends up getting, I think, a majority decision. One judge went 10-8 on it, and he got a majority decision win over Maldonado when he shouldn't have. That should have been a draw. The other one I can remember always freaking having a problem with was number 1, Lyoto Machida, when he fought Shogun Rua the first time. They fought in California, and I was like, there's no way. Look at it right there. You just pulled it up right there. 104. Lyoto Machida defeats Mauricio Rua. That one, there was no way that I could see how they picked Machida winning that fight. I thought Shogun landed better shots, heavier shots, just everything. And judges gave it to Machida. That's why they had a rematch, and then Shogun took the belt from him, knocking him out. So,
yeah, I look at these. I see like one of the number 1 is George St. Pierre and Johnny Hendricks. That wasn't a robbery. That was a close fight. They were back and forth.
Yeah,
that was not a robbery.
But you could also look at
I'm just on
Frankie Edgar.
Yeah,
Frankie Edgar, who we were talking about, earlier. But Frankie had the first fight with Gray Maynard.
Yeah.
Okay, that ended in a draw.
Yeah.
When I think all the judges gave a 10-8 round to Gray Maynard in the first round, could it have been a 10-7?
10-7.
Yeah,
but that's when they weren't as they were. What is it called?
Hesitant.
When they don't hand them out.
They were hesitant to ever, because it had only been done a couple times.
Yeah.
And so, but you look and you go, yeah, that could have been, that's a 10-7 round. I can understand where someone says, but Frankie kind of came back, and look, he got just waylaid in that round. He was on skates throughout most of it. And so it could have been a 10-7 round. So you could say that, but again, robbery, I don't go with robbery.
Yeah. If I was, I can go through, you just brought up a good point with Frankie Edgar. If I was going to say maybe one that comes to mind.
Benson Henderson, number 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Benson and Frankie, number 2. To me, it was very clear cut that Frankie won that fight.
I thought he did.
But I haven't seen that fight in a long time. But I flew out there to help Frankie train for that fight, fought Southpaw with him and all that stuff with some other guys. But that's how I met Dustin Poirier. To me, I thought it was very clear cut that Frankie won that fight over Benson. But I got to go back and watch it again and see. But I mean, to me, if I'm going to say robbery, it's so hard to say that they're robberies, man.
No,
there's not many of them out there.
Here's one for you. I don't know if you've ever seen this fight, but I watched this trilogy, and it had this guy named Gilbert Melendez against this other dude named Josh Thompson. The third fight, look at the first one, you beat him 50-45 on all the cards, I believe. Second one, he won. There's no doubt he won. It was, I think, 48-47 on 2 and 49-46 on 1 or something like that. The third fight, you won that fight.
Yeah.
You won that fight. 48-47, no doubt about it.
Person to tell me.
But it's, it is what it is. And to sit there and say, is it a robbery?
No.
Yeah.
Nope. I go back and I've watched that fight. I watched that fight a couple times. Yeah, it's frustrating. It is. But,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean.
Didn't you almost fight him in Bellator before you retired?
Yeah, there was talk.
They tried.
There was talk. Yeah, there was some issues. But it had nothing to do with Bellator. It had nothing to do with finances. It had to do with some other stuff. So.
Oh.
All right, let's go. What's your last one?
Wrapping up. Question for both. How do you think Michael Chandler's career would look like if he went to the UFC earlier in his career? Young Michael Chandler. I know that Josh's favorite fighter is Michael Chandler.
I think he would have been successful. I mean, bottom line is, it depends on when he would have went though as well. If he would have went during the Eddie Alvarez time, I think he probably would have had a little bit more success. The fact that he's going now during this time, back when the Eddie Alvarez first came in, there wasn't a lot of top level Dagestan. Like Charles was not there. There's Justin Gaethje wasn't there. I mean, like there was a little bit of a void in that 155-pound weight class at the time. You had Benson, who's not there anymore. You had
Who
myself.
Michael's
You had
beaten
Pettis.
twice.
Pettis, not there. Nate Diaz was fighting for the title, like myself, Gray Maynard, Frankie. There was guys that were in there. What was his name? The one that left with the concussion? Grant Neal? TJ Grant. He ended up getting a concussion, was gone. So that time frame on, and be honest, UFC didn't have the best 55-pounders in the world at the time. I mean, they did, but they didn't. Like they did, they had really good guys that were in there, me being included one of them, but there was a need for someone like an Eddie Alvarez. That's why when he came over, it was like, oh shit, he's here. And the same thing with Michael Chandler when he came over. Like if Chandler would have came when Eddie came, you would have been in store for a lot of great matchups for all of them. But that's the thing with the UFC though, and I'm going to be honest. All I ever heard when I was with Strikeforce, man, I can't wait for you to come over here and fight Cowboy Cerrone and Pettis. Never got offered the fights. You would think that would have been like, hey, these are the first. I called for them. I mean, after I beat Nate, I was like, I don't give a shit where Donald Cerrone's ranked. He was ranked like 7 or 8 or something like that. I said, I'll fight that guy. I want that fight. That's a great fight. Certain fighters motivate you. There was certain fighters that I really wanted to fight in my career. And no disrespect to Cowboy. I loved watching Cowboy fight.
You like that competition.
I love that competition. He motivated me to be a better fighter.
Yeah.
I loved everything about him. I loved his cowboy hat. I'd seen him. He was a fucking great fighter.
One of the most respectful things you can say is, man, you are someone that motivates me. I want to fight you because I have so much respect for you. I love the way you fight. I love the way you handle yourself in the cage. What? There's no disrespect there.
These fighters that come over from other organizations, right, they have this in their mind, like, all I've heard for years is I couldn't beat that guy. Well, that guy motivates me the most, and that's the guy that I want to match up with. That's all I ever heard. Oh, you couldn't beat Cowboy. And I never was offered the fight. I wanted that fight. I mean, I took the RDA fight, and then they called me and said, hey, we're actually going to have you fight Pettis instead for the title. And I was like, all right, cool. But I was already signed to fight RDA, and they canceled that fight because they offered me the title shot. I said, okay, for sure, let's do that. So, I mean, I wanted certain fights. I wasn't too motivated on the RDA thing, but I understood it was it was a very dangerous fight. It was a good fight. He did motivate me, but not like the way that Pettis or Cerrone did. I had always heard for years, you couldn't stand with those guys, or how would you beat them? You're not good enough to take them down. I was like, man, I'm fucking get these guys. I'm gonna get them. Watch. And Nate had just fought for the title. So what better guy to fight than Nate Diaz? And so there's guys like with Michael Chandler. I talk about Michael in terms of being a person. I'm not a fan of him as a person. Now, as a fighter, I'm a huge fan. And you have to learn as not just an analyst, but as a person, like in your heart or who you are as a person, how to separate those things. You can give people credit for their success. I give him credit for his success. All the damn time. He deserves it. He's a hard worker. He pushes himself. He fucking lays it all on the line. You can't take anything away from him that way. Okay? Me not liking him has to do with him as a person. That's it. That's as much as I can say about it. I like to poke fun at him because of that situation, but that's it though. That's all. One day maybe, who knows? And look, we can all talk. John can contest to this. I'm not a huge Conor McGregor fan. I don't like him because of my connection with Khabib, Islam, AKA, all those things. I'm not a fan of him. We had him on the show and I acted like a professional. And that's really what it comes down to. You have to be that way. I have to be that way. And one day maybe, I've actually even asked Podcast Dave, we've invited Nate Diaz on this podcast and said, hey, if you want to come on, I'd love to have you on, man. Talk about it. Talk about you, your brother, the history of how great you guys are and been for the sport. He turned it down. I get it. Whatever. And I would do the same thing for Michael Chandler. If he wants to come on and we can tell the world reasons why we don't like each other, then that's fine as well. And if you want to talk about fights, I'm fine with that too.
I'm not refereeing anymore.
As a professional, that's what you got to do. As a professional, you got to learn to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's guys that didn't get along in the NBA, but they're sitting at the desk now together up there talking about how they used to beat each other. But they all do it in fun because when you're done with fighting, you're done with everything, it doesn't matter anymore.
No.
Like, let that shit go.
Actually,
so, but I think he would have been, if he would have came when Eddie came, there's a good chance he would have been the UFC champ. That's the way I look at it. I mean, him and Eddie had battles, and those are great fights. Eddie became UFC champ, and Chandler for sure could could have beat Eddie, and he could have beat anybody else that was there at that time.
Now, I agree with what Josh is saying as far as I think that the time period for Michael to actually be the guy in the UFC was about 4 to 5 years ago. If he would have come at that Eddie, when he was about 29, 30, come over when Eddie had come over, would have been a perfect time for him. He would have done extremely well. Not that he's not doing well now, not that he's not a great fighter now, but he's more towards the end of his career, more towards the latter part. He's taken more damage. He took damage when he was in Bellator. He's taken damage when he's in the UFC. And you can only take so much of that before it starts to affect your performance and what you're able to do. Now, he had a great last fight against Tony. That was an incredible knockout. And he's got more left in the tank. But do I think he would have done better 5 years ago? Yeah, absolutely. He was a younger, maybe not as smart a fighter. Sometimes.
And even
yes.
then, even then.
Yeah, he would be. He's always a guy. Look, he's going to bite down and he's going to go. That's who he is. But yeah, 5 years ago would have been better for him.
Because I look at the guys that were in that weight class at that time.
Oh, yeah.
There was so much there was so much shuffling going on. Right now, you know who the top 5 guys are because they've been there, except for Dariush. He just got in there. But you have those guys that are in there, though. You've got Gaethje's been there forever. Dustin's been there for a while now. Charles now has made his run, but he's been the champ now for a couple of years. You've got guys that are in there that are making it happen. So they're going to be there. Islam now is just into that, but he's going to be there for a while, I would imagine. Other guys that top 5 has been set for a while, and those are the hardest ones to break into because they're so damn good, and they've been fighting each other. They're all been making each other better. When you go back to when I was there, that 2012, 2013, with the influx of Gilbert, myself, these guys were all good, but they were not there. I don't think that those guys were at the level of the guys that are there right now.
Yeah.
And so I think that Eddie, and I think that Chandler would have had a lot. Eddie won the championship. I mean, that says it all, and then Chandler coming in. I mean, Chandler, I think would have had a good chance of beating him if they fought for a third time or whatever it was, so it would have made for a lot more exciting fights, and he would have still had some left in the gas tank. He'd probably still be making a run right now. He would have helped stabilize that division, I think, during that time, because he's a mainstay in terms of his competitiveness.
Oh, he's a stud.
All right, guys. Well, hey, that's going to wrap up our show. Go to WeighInPodcast.com, pick up some of our merch, and we've got sweatshirts, right?
We got sweatshirts.
Sweatshirts, long sleeve shirts, short sleeve shirts, all different colors. We got the hindsight is 50-50. The hashtag and still is available as well. And so
I will not give Podcast Dave any respect with our merch until he brings me a good hat. I don't want a Gilligan hat. I want a hat.
I want
Gilligan a baseball hat.
I love Gilligan hats. Let me show the world this. The hashtag Free Kane shirt.
Beautiful.
It's available on lionsnotsheep.com, right? Lions Not Sheep, which is what John's wearing. So Lions Not Sheep. That is the only website that all of the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds, go to Cain Velasquez's family. So please support. Please look out for my boy, and please help as much as you possibly can. Shirts, I believe, are $30, but hashtag Free Kane is available. They're at lionsnotsheep.com. And like I said, all the proceeds go to him and his family for attorney fees, basically. All right, so John, take us away.
Everyone out there, I hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself with your family. Do something kind for somebody. It'll make you feel better. It'll make them be better. So we will see ya.